All right, Thursday, March 21st, Tush coming at you, 12:10 in the afternoon. And guess what we're going to be doing today? Probably a little bit more welding. Surprise, surprise. All right, we're going to start where we left off yesterday evening, and that's just finally welding shut this cut line we made here to raise up this top deck piece. So we'll go ahead and finish that off, and then we'll move on to another area. I still haven't checked to make sure that all of the fastener locations line up, so we'll probably do that after we fix this and get it ground down. Still need to do the vertical cuts here on the sill, so we've got to actually weld those up at some point as well and do a little bit more finish grinding there. So we'll probably tackle those couple areas before we move on to a different area. Oh, I also need to do a little repair here where this metal was torn. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little tear here. There's a little tear here on the bottom, and I noticed yesterday on my video there's actually a little pinhole on the bottom of the valence. You could actually see it in my video. So the videos are serving more than one purpose. They're pointing out more problems. All right, this area here is now welded and ground down. I think it looks pretty good. Looks better than it did. I also fixed that rear flange area and repaired the bottom part and the top part. Still have to go underneath and replace the or fix the pinholes that I could see in my video yesterday, but we'll do that shortly. I think the next thing I'm going to do is going to start welding these vertical pieces, which means I have to take the front fender off to access the front one, but I have access to the rear one here. So I think what we're going to do first, though, is we're going to do a bit of a garage clean out. The floors are getting pretty dirty, and I'm going to be laying on top of them shortly. Maybe put some tools away, clean this place up, and then get a little bit more organized before I start laying down and welding. All right, we'll come back. All right, we've got the area ground down where we need to fill in the gap on the vertical piece of the sill here. So we're going to break the welder out. We did give the garage a quick clean out. So we'll continue on with the welding. We'll stitch this up, grind it down, and we'll move on to the front. All right, quick update for you, just coming up to 4:30. So we've got the vertical cuts welded up now and stepped down, so they look okay. They'll be hidden behind the fenders anyway. We cleaned up the A-post a bit better, or sorry, the B-post a little bit better. Here on the inside, we just ground that down, so that's looking pretty good, much better than it did. So we're good there. We also cleaned up a little bit behind here on the B-post. Just some of the old previous owners' brazing, we've just sort of cleaned up a little bit on the back side as well. So I think that's looking pretty good now. So yeah, so I think we'll call that area done, and we'll move on to another section. Well, it's Friday morning, just coming up to 11 a.m. and we're headed up to storage. We've got a typical spring day here. It's kind of raining and snowing at the same time. And we're about 1 degree Celsius. I think it's about -2 with the wind chill. Anyway, we're going up to storage because we were up there yesterday. Les is borrowing my covered trailer. He's doing a basement renovation and wants to transport some stuff to the dump. So I had to empty the stuff that I had in the trailer, and I put it up in storage. So we were up there last night and found that there's a few vehicles up there that have some flat tires, or just about flat tires, and we also found that we got some water ingress into our storage location, so we're going to have to figure that out. I think we're going to go up on the weekend and probably get the squeegee and the shop vac out and try to do a little bit of cleanup up there. It's just the snow melt basically running under the edges of it's a steel barn, some of you might know, so it doesn't exactly seal to the ground very well, so there's a bit of a snow melt happening and ice melt, and it's making its way inside the barn. So we'll have to get up there and try to fix that over the weekend. We don't want to have too much moisture laying on the ground. So that's what we're up there for today. So we got some tools with us. We're also going to try to move the Pathfinder. I've decided that I want to sell that since I've got the new F-150. I don't really need the Pathfinder anymore. It hasn't been driven really in about a year. So I think we'll endeavor to get that moved out of there. I've got the battery charged up with me and a few tools that I might need. So we'll see if we can get that moving. And again, that's one of the vehicles that has the flat tires. So we've got a little mini compressor with us and a full-size compressor. And we'll pump the tires up, get that moved around a little bit, and then we'll bring it home and try to get it up for sale. Anyway, that's what we're doing for this morning anyway, and we'll bring it back later on. Well, a bit of a frustrating morning. I went up to the storage as I was talking about and aired up all the tires, and as soon as I aired up all the tires, I figured it was time to try to move the Pathfinder. So I stick the battery in it, start it up. Made a bit of a squealing sound because it hasn't been running for over a year or so. Anyway, ended up snapping the serpentine belt, so that put a quick stop to things. It runs, but obviously you can't run it without a belt, so it's going to be a project for a later day. I'm just kind of over it with the Pathfinder. I'll probably just move it along, whether that means to a junkyard or maybe sell it as a cheap project for somebody, but it's not something I don't think I'm going to invest any more time or money into. Unfortunately, it's got quite a few new parts in it. I think I spent about $1,800 on it before I put it away in storage. It's got all new suspension front and rear on it, but that's the way things go. Anyway, that's it for now. We'll go visit Les. All right, Saturday, March 23rd, just coming up to 11:15. And he said, no more welding.
No more welding.
At least on his car. I haven't actually said that out loud yet. I've said it in my head, but I actually haven't said it out loud. I'm not stupid.
No, you just put it in the description of the video or whatever. I read it somewhere.
Anyway, we're going to fix a few things this morning. Lynn's come up with his son Nick, and we're going to spend the day out in the garage. So we're going to start working on this passenger side rear fender flange, and if you recall on one of my previous videos, there's an area in here that's a little high that needs to be pushed down. So we're going to do the same cut and shut type idea we did on the driver's side. So we're going to do that for starters. I'm going to keep them busy while I search through my parts bins for my hood hinges, bonnet hinges, because we're going to play around with doing a bonnet strut conversion. Instead of the bonnet prop rod, we're going to try to adapt some struts to make it funky and functional. So I've got the struts over here. We actually have a few different things. This is for a TR6 kit from Clark & Clark. It's just kind of new on the market. It's been out for, I guess, a few months, and I've seen a couple applications of it on the various forums. And I've also bought some other struts because from what I understand, but we're going to find out for ourselves, these struts may be actually too long for a TR250 bonnet. They're more applicable to a TR6, but we're going to actually find out what works and what doesn't. So he's going to weld, and I'm going to search for parts, and then we'll get back to you. Well, unfortunately, the bonnet hinge project is going to have to be put on hold because I cannot find my bonnet hinges anywhere.
Can I go home now?
You can't go home. Keep welding. So we had the bonnet on earlier checking for fit, and obviously I pulled them out of the parts bin, and now I can't relocate them, unfortunately. So I've gone through pretty much most of my bins, at least the accessible ones. There's a few up here I haven't gone through, and the ones in the back here I haven't gone through, so that's gonna have to wait for a later day. Once I get the garage doors open and I can shuffle the car around a little bit and start pulling bins out to look through them all. So that's unfortunate, but it happens when you've got car parts for 7 cars kind of laying around. They kind of get interspersed a little bit. Right now we've got TR3A, 59 TR3A parts and TR250 parts in here, and it's possible I might have dropped it in the wrong bin. So anyway, such is life. Keep welding. Okay, it's got the area fixed between the two marks here, so that's looking better, nice and low. So we're now going to concentrate on this area here where the body tub's higher than the fender. So we're just going to do a slice here around the corner, and then we're going to move that down in line with the fender. Right? Okay, it's 12:01. What time is it? Beer time.
Oh yeah, beer o'clock.
Hey, beer o'clock.
12:04.
The welding guy is drinking beer. I'm drinking Diet Coke.
Cheers.
Okay, I fixed this area up here at the top of the B-post. Just welded that shut and ground it down. Elaine is working on the rear valance to fender, and that one only got 3 mounting holes because the other one had 4.
There should be 3.
I know there should be 3. That's funny because the other one had 4
Yeah, with
on the old fender, so even the old fenders only had 3. So anyway, we'll figure that out too. We'll weld them shut and make new holes as required. So while I was going through my parts bins, I also wanted to find my valves because I was thinking about ordering new valves if required, and I wanted to measure them because there's 2 different sizes depending on the year of car that you have. And I'm not actually sure what year the head is on this car, so I wanted to make sure I measured the valves. So Ellen is just taking a few measurements for me of the intake and exhaust valves. He measured a couple different valves. So anyway, that'll give me an idea as far as when I go to order parts for this car. This is a new way to weld. You cradle your light and then you one-hand your welder. Quite the technique. Before lunch he said he couldn't weld. Now he's welding like a master with one hand.
Ew.
Lunch helps apparently. And 2 beers. Thank you. Okay, it's just about 4:15 and the passenger side rear fender is fitting well now to the rear valance. Obviously needs a little bit of body work here, but it looks much better than it did. The only thing I need left to do on this is to do the mounting hole locations for the rear. But the top of the fender is now looking good all the way along. As we said, fix this area in here, and we fix this area up front. So that's looking very good. So yeah, so we had a good day out in the garage.
No hinges though.
We couldn't find the hinges. So that'll be my next task, is tearing apart all these bins over and behind. He already checked up on top there. So could be in the shed, could be in the basement. Could be in your shop
In my
with
shop,
my pliers.
Yeah, for my TR4.
That's right. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys, or today, this afternoon, whatever you want to call it. We'll probably get back out here tomorrow. Thanks for watching. All right, guys, Tush coming at you Wednesday, March 27th, just after 5 p.m. And having been out in the garage for a few days, we were working on another project. That is a broken serpentine belt from a 2011 Ford F-150. Alternator had gone bad and snapped the belt, so I had to get the alternator rebuilt and then obviously replace the belt. So that was fun, working outdoors. It's not been that warm out, so I've been having to wait for a warm day to do that, and finally got that done, so I'm happy with that. So we'll get back on the 250 tonight, and we'll do an hour or 2 out here. I think what I'm going to do is pick up where we left off with Ellen and I over the weekend. We've pretty much got the fender on the passenger side, the rear fender on the passenger side fitting where we want it to be. The only thing that we didn't get to was to fix the rear mounting hole locations for the fender to rear valance. So I'm going to pull the fender off. I'm going to do the dum-dum trick to figure out where the holes need to be drilled and are marked and then drilled. And then we'll go ahead and weld up the old holes, drill the new holes, and we'll refit the fender and check that everything is good. So that's what the plan is for the next hour or so anyway, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, just coming up to 5:50, and we've done what we wanted to. We've managed to fill those old holes, drill new holes, and get the 3 fasteners bolted up to the from the fender to the rear valance. So we're happy with the fit there. The gap looks pretty good. We did work on that when Ellen was here, so a little piece of beading in there and we'll be good to go, and a little bit of body work on that rear valance, but that's looking good. So let's move on to another project. Let's have a little chat. All right, so spring has been here for a few days now, and we're beginning to think about getting cars out of storage. There are car shows starting up within the next few weeks. Actually, we've got the Ancaster British car flea market coming up within, I think it's on the Easter weekend, so not too far away. So we're starting to think about getting cars out of storage and working on other spring projects. So I've been thinking about what I want to do as far as getting my cars out of storage, and I think what's going to happen is the first car that's going to come back out, I think it's similar to what we did last year, if I recall. I think the 81 Alfa Romeo Spider is going to come out of storage first. It does need some work done to it. We did some work on it last year, getting it up and running, changing all the fluids, etc. And giving it just a quick check over, but there are some outstanding things that needed to be done on that car. For example, the exhaust was never completed. We had to order a rear exhaust section, and that came all the way from Italy, so that took about, I think, 3 months to get here actually from the supplier. So that put us a little bit behind, so we ended up putting the Alpha away back into storage because we didn't want it taking up valuable space in the garage while we were waiting for parts. So now those parts have arrived, we're going to endeavor to put them on the car. So we've got the exhaust to do, that's one thing on the list. We have new trans mounts to put on the car, that's the second thing on the list that needs to be done. We have a few electrical gremlins that we need to take care of. The turn signal switch stock has broken off, so we need to replace that stock or the switch entirely, and that's an expensive part looking at the parts catalog. So speaking with Alin, he thinks he might be able to fix it, so he's going to be my electrical guru on the Alpha project. He is on most projects. So the turn signal stock, the power window on the passenger side doesn't work very well. I don't know if it's got a motor issue or whether it's just gummed up, etc., but that's one thing that needs to be looked at. And I think there's one other little electrical, the backup lights are not operating, whether that's just bulbs burnt out or whether the switch is bad or maybe disconnected on the trans, who knows, but we've got to get to the bottom of that as well. So I've got the exhaust to put on, and like I said, I've got the trans mounts to fix up, and I'm probably sure, there's some fuel lines that I need to replace as well. So while I'm doing that, maybe I can get Alin up here to have a look at those electrical gremlins. So for me to be able to get the Alpha up to the garage, that means that the garage is going to have to be cleaned out a little bit, and the TR250 project is going to have to vacate some of the space that it's occupying right now. It's going to have to be moved to the left side of the garage, left sort of center of the garage, just enough room for us to get the Alpha in and out of the garage. I don't intend on working on the 250 with the Alpha in the garage. I can always pull that out when I need to do any welding or body work. So I'm always a little conscious about working on one car while another car is in the garage. I've done that in the past and it hasn't worked out very well. It's amazing where, even if you have a car covered, it's amazing where Bondo dust gets into, and it can just ruin a car. So, or a spark from a welder can catch a cover on fire. So we prefer to move them out when we can. So that's what the intent is in the next few days, is to get the garage cleaned up and organized a little bit better. I'm anticipating being able to get the garage doors open within the next week or two, getting the insulation out and opening those babies up wide so I can get this garage blown out. It's pretty dusty and dirty in here, so that needs to be taken care of. I'm actually getting a little stir crazy at the moment having the doors shut because the weather is improving here. It's still not great, but it's definitely getting better. And I definitely want to get the garage doors open. It makes me feel so much better working in here after a long winter. Anyway, so that's the plan for the spring, so stay tuned. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop working on the TR250. It's just I'm going to sort of work on some projects in conjunction. I've got cars to drive. I got to make sure that I do that as well as continue to work on the 250. So again, that's what the plan is. So I'm not getting away from the 250, but I am going to be working on some projects at the same time.